So, one of the big questions anybody has over the past few months when it comes to Tony Khan is he being petty? Now, I've talked about this before. I think I've even brought up the possibility of that being the case. But the question is he being petty? And the reason people, ask this question about Tony Khan is due to the fact that over the past few months, several talents that seem to be on the verge of free agency, on the verge of possibly jumping ship over to WWE, if not taking a bit of a sabbatical over to TNA and then into WWE, or a bit of a sabbatical to New Japan or MLW and then going to WWE, maybe even AAA, who knows, Rev Pro, who knows, or even just a sabbatical on the independents to kind of, get certain matches and opponents out of the system. The reason this is brought up. Is due to the fact that Tony Khan, for some odd reason, is pulling, as some people call it, a Vince McMahon, which is getting him nicknamed Vince McMahon Light, or Tony McMahon, or TK McMahon. All because he's pulling something that Vince would do in the past, and that is basically say, hey, you were out for some time, I know we were supposed to let you go, but you know what, I'm going to add on to your contract. And mainly Vince would do that because he knew that a talent would be heading, over to the competition. It was AEW, 5 years ago, over the past 5 years. Or back in the day, it was WCW, maybe to an extent ECW. And he didn't want that. And why did Vince not want that? Because he knew that basically that talent would be treated better, if not be given potentially a bigger platform to apply their craft, as well as kind of have a little bit more freedom to do what they want and have a say in how the creative process, stories, rivalries, and all that would be going forward. Tony Khan seems to be adopting, similar, I guess you could say, traits that Vince is known for when it comes to that. Because when you look at the fact that over the past few months, he's opted in for another almost year, Rey Fenix. He's opted in for almost the rest of this year into early portion of next year, Pentagon Jr., Penta El Zero Miro, basically the Lucha Brothers. And now he's doing the same with Ricky Starks and who knows who else. And the question is this him being petty? I would have to say yes, it is, sounding like he is being petty. But I also think it's because he's afraid. He's afraid because he knows there's a good chance, a strong good chance, that if any of these talents that he's locking in within an optional year, that, and speaking of which, that optional year for some reason doesn't sound like it's something that any of the talents actually agreed upon based on some of the reports and, news articles out there. But I think it's mostly he's afraid, he's not just petty, but he's afraid that if these talents jump over to WWE, whether it's straight jump, whether it's, like I said earlier, taking some, some kind of sabbaticals in other companies, briefly, if not the independents, to kind of, test the waters, get certain matches and rivalries out of the way, and so on. I think it's mostly due to the fact that he's afraid. He's afraid that Triple H and his crew is going to treat and present this star bigger and better than he ever could. Let's look, for example, at Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill was looked at as one of the biggest female stars in All Elite Wrestling. And Tony knew that. He knew that. He gave her the superstar treatment right off the bat. Her first match, a mixed tag match, was a victory over basically basically the person who now is the face of WWE, who was the top EVP, I guess you could say, of AEW at one point, Cody Rhodes. And that was in a mixed tag when it was Cody and Red Velvet, who was standing in for Brandy, against Jade and Shaq. I mean, they gave Jade, like I said, that superstar treatment right off the bat by not only giving her that victory, that rub in her first match, but by teaming her with Shaquille O'Neal of all people, who is still a very popular and very beloved Hall of Fame basketball player, if not analyst, if you know, analyst, I should say. He's still very beloved, still very popular. You know, people like Shaq, and that's a fact. So they gave her that push right off the bat, and he did what he could. Give Tony credit. He did what he could to present Jade as the megastar, you know, she needed to be, or she was meant to be. But here's the issue. Despite doing that, within the span of just a few short weeks and a few short months, Triple H has done more for Jade, in presenting her as a big deal, you know, and as a megastar than Tony Khan could ever have dreamt of. And during the 4 years, I think that's what it was, her contract, 4 years that she was in that company. In a short time, he has done more for her than anything. I mean, right now, Triple H has Jade Cargill in a big storyline, a massive storyline of whodunit, which is going to lead to Jade getting a WrestleMania match against whoever that person that attacked her is. And again, as I mentioned in my video, all signs, in my opinion, are going to point toward Bianca. Could that be? We don't know. Some are saying it's going to be Bayley. Some are saying it's going to be Naomi. We don't know, but that is what makes, you know, the difference between how Triple H presents Jade and how Tony Khan presents Jade. You know, that's what makes it the difference so huge. Due to the fact that Triple H is putting her in a whodunit situation to where now you have to wonder, okay, who's the one that did it? Who's the one that went after and took Jade Cargill out? And what's interesting about it is it all plays into War Games this Saturday. That's what's great. That's what's great about it. And again, this is what Tony Khan's afraid of. He's afraid that basically Triple H is going to present, you know, Ricky Starks, he's going to present the Lucha Brothers as bigger stars in a shorter time span, than he ever could. I mean, look what he's done with the MCMGs, the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, Tony Khan had these guys like what? Once or twice? And Tony Khan basically, you know, didn't do much with them, and within a span of a short time, Triple H has done more with them. So in my opinion, in closing, because I got to wrap this up real quickly now, got somebody coming, a relative coming to the door. But in short, I think it's not just pettiness that Tony Khan has by, you know, adding on time. I think it's also, ladies and gentlemen, you know, he's afraid. He's afraid Triple H is going to present these talents bigger and better than he ever could in a shorter amount of time, to where it'll make Tony Khan look Bush League in the process. And that's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, look what he's done with Cody Rhodes. Look what he's done with CM Punk and whoever else is going to be coming through that door. But that's just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. Like the video. And until next time, guys, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I am out.